Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
We're going to be covering St. John in 12. Go ahead, 1. Okay. To begin with, in 11, that's where Lazarus was brought back to life. And then Yahushua went to Ephraim, near to the wilderness. So that's where we left off with the whole story of Lazarus being brought back to life. Now, do we know what that means, him being brought back to life? Is that like resurrected?
Yeah.
Or just brought back to life? So with Lazarus, just to explain, when he was brought back to life, it meant that, he wasn't resurrected, because after the resurrection, you will not die anymore.
Okay.
He was brought back to life. Therefore, he went in his life and he died at some time after that. We see that.
Come.
Brought back. He didn't go on forever. He didn't get his glorified body and go on forever. So Christ brought him back when his body was stinking. He brought him back, and he was continued to live longer. So he was just brought back to life. Some people, we get questions on that. Was Lazarus resurrected? He wasn't resurrected. He was brought back to life.
So it's somewhat like a shadow of things to come, in a sense.
What do you mean?
Well, but he did die. But like you say,
he died, and that was the thing. Brought back to life. See, when say his body was seeing corrupt, we know it was stinking. They said it was already stinking in 4 days. So that means his body had been to break down. The blood probably was all hard and everything, and his body began to decay in that 4-year rigor mortis sitting, and all of that stuff was happening to the body. But so when Christ called him back, the miraculous thing there was a rejuvenation of what he already had that was there, meaning that when him coming back to life, it just wasn't, his spirit going back into his body. It was also that body, the rejuvenation of the body, where the limbs had to become flexible again, the skin, the breathing, the breath of life came on it, where the heart had to start beating again, where there was decay and breakdown. There was that miraculous recovering of all of those things that had broken down, and life came back into, his spirit came back into that same physical body that had been rebuilt. Whereas when the resurrection comes, you're going to go in a glorified body. It said when in a twinkling of an eye, you will be changed. And then you're going to have power. You're going to be able to rise. You will be like him. And that's the difference between the resurrected body. Now, Christ came back with what? When he came back to life, was he resurrected? He had a resurrected body, or he just came back to life?
he just came back to life, like stated.
No, he had a resurrected body.
Oh, you talking about Christ?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry, Christ. Okay, yeah, definitely Christ. I'm sorry, I thought you.
Yeah. So Christ had his resurrected body and say we will be like him, so he was able. He said, "Touch me, see that I'm flesh," but he was able to walk through walls. He was able to float up on high. He was the body was there. He was able to change his appearance, and he had this, and he could die no more. They could not do any damage to him anymore. Whereas with Lazarus, we're going to see here that they even wanted to kill him again, because he was a testimony to Christ, the power to bring back. So they want to make him and Christ dead. They want to kill him again. Make him dead again. But had he been resurrected, it would have been no killing of him. So we're gonna, everybody understand that?
Con.
Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna start with verse 1.
All right. Then Yahushua, 6 days before the Passover, came to Bethany, where Lazarus was, which had been dead, whom he raised from the dead.
Okay, now we got this. He was raised from the dead, not resurrected. Now, even Mary was talking about that. We know in the resurrection he shall rise again. We saw that back in there, and he was not speaking of the resurrection. He said he is the life and he is the resurrection, that he can make all of these things. So what he did was bring him back to life, even as he would bring us in the resurrection. So let's see here, 6 days before Passover. So Passover was drawing near. We know that it was drawing near to his death and when he was to be crucified. Now, it says he came to Bethany, and we're going to take a look at the map so we can remind ourselves where Bethany was. Okay. So he was in Ephraim here in chapter 11. Then he went to Bethany. Bethlehem was right here. This was Bethany. And we remember that Bethany is about 2 miles from Jerusalem, where the temple is. Everybody seeing that?
Con.
All right, so we're gonna go back. So verse 2. Verse 2. You still with us, Quan?
God, I was on mute. My apologies.
Okay.
There they made him a supper, and Martha served, but Lazarus was one of them that sat at the table with him.
Okay, so they were at Bethany. Now Martha, she was there serving, and we had Lazarus was a guest there. We weren't at Martha's house, we weren't at Lazarus' house. Lazarus was a guest, and Martha there was serving. One thing we can see among the saints here, we're going to find out who house this was at, is the relationship that the saint had. You know, one of us can have something and you have a sister come over and she may serve and do something, and then you're going to have your friends over that's also in the Messiah, that they're there and they're having a meal where they're going to eat. Let's take a look and see which house he was at. We're going to look at Matthew 26 and 6. And this is another count.
Now, when the Messiah was in Bethany, in the house of Simon the leper.
So this was the leopard that he healed, just to see where he was. So in Bethany, he was at Simon's house, the leopard that he healed. We're going to go ahead and get another confirmation of that real quick in Mark 14 and 3.
And being in Bethlehem, the house of Simon the leper, as he sat at meat, there came a woman having a alabaster box of ointment of spikenard, which so like very precious, and she broke the box and poured it on his head.
Okay, now we're going to go back and we will see in the next verse, that's exactly what's going to take place. So we know we're dealing from the 2 different accounts, Matthew and Mark, that we're talking about the same place in which Yahushua was in at this point. Now we're going to pick up at verse 3, and it says,
Then took Mary a pound of ointment of spikenard, very costly, and anointed the feet of the Messiah, and wiped his feet with her hair. And the house was filled with the odor of the ointment.
okay, so we see here. Now let's look at what this ointment was. An ointment is a smooth oily preparation that is rubbed on the skin for medicinal purposes. It could be for cosmetic purposes. Now let's look at this spikenard. The spikenard is perennial herb of from the Himalayas. So this was far away. It's a fragrance with essential oils. It can be used for medicinal purpose, perfumes, aromatherapy. So here we have, in other words, oil with herbs in it, used for medicinal purposes and fragrance and perfume. And they would sometimes take this and put it on the rags when they would wrap the body after it died, because the body would stink. And this was to mask the fragrance of it, or for healing, like you say, or perfume. But the thing is, it was very costly. And we'll talk about how costly that is. Came from the Himalayas, so it was probably brought in. So she had a pound of this. Let's see what Judas Iscariot says in verse 4.
Then said one of his disciples, Judas Iscariot, Simon's son, which should betray him, why was not this ointment sold for 300 pence and given to the poor?
Okay, now we see Judas Iscariot, which is the traitor, and he is the one that raised the question that this should have been sold for 300 pence. Now remember, back in those days, a man's work hour would bring him a penny a day. This was 300. So you're talking about at least 300. It would take a man, if they were to get this, at least 300 work days to purchase this perfume. So we see, that's why you see that very costly. It would take which was a lot of time. Just think of your salary. We go by 354 days. Just think your whole year's salary to some oil with some ointment in it. So that's how much it was. So now here is Simon Iscariot. Judas Iscariot, the betrayer. He's acting concerned for the poor people. What in 5, why was not this ointment sold for 300 pence and given to the poor? Do you think that's where his concern was, with the poor?
No, because one of the things, he was a treasurer, and
right.
If they would have sold that, he would have been holding that money.
Right. Absolutely. And that will be brought that's going to be brought right out here. Go ahead and read 6.
This he said, not that he cared for the poor, but because he was a thief and had the bag and bear what was put therein.
Okay, just as Priest Quam said. So he didn't care for the poor. And this is the thing about your heart. He's masking that. And it said he cared not for the poor, but he was a thief. So Judas had been carrying the bag. And what do people say today? Go get that bag.
Yeah, exactly what they, yep.
When they get a divorce, she got the bag, she got the money.
Yeah, that's the street term now.
Yeah, that's the street term, the bag now.
The bag.
You know we the people. You know we the people still using the same, but go get that bag. So man, this word just testify all the time. So Judas had the bag. He was a thief, you know. So you think Yahushua knew that?
God.
So he entrusted him with it to do the right thing. That was Judas' struggle as to what he would do. But Christ gave him that responsibility anyway, just like we're entrusted with these lives when they're not ours, and say, "No, ye not that you are not your own." So, but we are entrusted with these lives anyway, you know, with free will to do what we will. And I just think that's precarious that Yahushua, knowing that he was a thief, entrusted him to hold on the money. But he knew also that he could get whatever he needed. He could tell them, go down to the sea and pull some money up out of the fish, you know. And that wasn't his sufficiency, but his sufficiency was in the Most High. Amen. Okay.
Amen.
So we see he was a thief, and he was holding on to the money bag, and he knew if they sold that money would be coming to him, and he could take some more off the top. He was thinking, hey, $300, and consequently he's going to go for money to betray Christ.
Mhm.
So let us go to the next verse.
Then said the Messiah, let her alone. Against the day of my burial, she kept this.
So what did Yahushua say? This is for his burial. It said this was a custom, like we talked about, of putting the ointment on the body. And Christ knew that his crucifixion was drawing near, but he just said, leave her alone. Leave her alone. Let her alone. You know, without all the explaining. And sometimes we have to be that way. Just leave it alone. You know, he didn't get into it. He didn't call him a thief or nothing. Leave us alone. Like, don't even get into it. This is for my burial. Go on about your business. Verse 8.
For the poor always ye have with you, but me ye have not always.
The poor is always going to be here. This is an indictment while we're in this life. The system that this man has set up, this world system, because it's built on the system of oppression. You got these companies, they need to keep someone down in order for them to be up or have the riches. Is a system built on you can see in Acts where they had all things in common. They had a common wealth where they were sharing all things, and there was no lacking in anyone in the system, that the godly system. And that's the way it's going to be when Christ comes again. There will be no lacking for anyone. All will have. All would be. There would be a kingdom, princes and kings and royalty. You see, a kingdom of that. Whereas in this system, people are always fighting to be on top, the richest. So many go poor. You look at some of these guys now, they're worth $200, $300 billion. And they're trying to get to mark number one. They're trying to be worth more than that, where you have people dying of hunger. They could easily take care of thousands, hundreds of thousands, and still would be rich all of their lives and their children's lives. But we have this system where you need to oppress, where you got those working for nothing, and then those getting great abundance. And that's legal in their system, in their injustice. So Christ looking at that saying, the poor is going to always be here due to this wicked system. The poor is going to, but you're not going to have my physical body here all the time. And then he's going to liken what his body is like being there. It's the light of the world. Let's go on to the next verse, 9.
Much people of the Jews therefore knew that he was there, and they came not for the Messiah's sake only, but that they might see Lazarus also, whom he had raised from the dead.
Okay, so there was much people there. We know how the multitudes flocked to Christ, but we talked about that miracle that just had preceded, that he had brought Lazarus back for the dead. So you had also Jews there trying to see Lazarus to verify, yeah, he's alive, he's there. They wanted to see him also because he had come back to life. Continue, verse 10.
But the chief priests consulted that they might put Lazarus also to death.
Now, the chief priests, these are our leaders again. They wanted to, now, you know, they had already had plotted to kill Yahushua. They already tried to entrap him, and he walked out the midst of them. And now they want to kill Lazarus, put him to death again, because that was a strong testimony that he had, and he brought many to Christ. They didn't want people to follow after Christ. So they're like, we got to put him to death right along with him, because since he come back to life, so many others believed and came unto Christ. Are we seeing that?
Con.
Okay. Well, let's go on to verse 11.
Because that by reason of him, many of the Jews went away and believed on the Messiah.
Just what we said. So many believed because he came back to life. Now that goes to show you, so they not only was trying to destroy Yahushua, but his works that he did. And remember, his works was wrought in the Most High. That was supposed to testify that he was who he said. So they want to kill him and his works. And we see the same thing today with Pharisaical people. They want to kill the works of the Messiah. They want to degrade it, act like it didn't happen, that he isn't who he said. They're trying to destroy the works of Yahushua. He ain't nobody, there's many saviors, trying to diminish what Yahushua is, the Son of the living Most High.
Con.
Okay, next verse.
On the next day, much people that were come to the feast, when they heard that Yahushua was coming to Jerusalem.
Okay, so on the next day, much people that were come to the feast, when they heard Yahushua was coming to Jerusalem. Now, so you have more people, Christ being in Bethany and that surrounding area of Galilean, those that were around. And remember, this was wasn't on the Passover. This was like 5 days. This would have been 5 days before the Passover that came. So they want to get there because the multitudes, they flogged Christ here that he was there. They wanted to get there and meet him for the upcoming. They wanted to see him too. All the people wanted to see Christ. Can you imagine how this caused those Pharisees and Sadducees to do? Because Christ was bringing crowds. All the people was there. Go on to 13.
Took branches of palm trees and went forth to meet him and cried, Hosanna, blessed is the King of Israel that cometh in the name of the Lord.
Now we'll take a look at this, what palm branch represented. That was symbolic of victory, triumph, peace, and eternal life. We're going to take a quick look at some of those things. So here the people was crying Hosanna, praise, and joy and blessings. So these were our people that was of Galilee, lifting up Yahushua and praising him in victory. And with these palm branches, you know, we had palm trees that was imprinted in gold inside of the temple. So this was one of our symbols to, like we say, to represent peace and everlasting life, triumph, plenty. So this was one of our symbols that we use, the symbols of the bull. We had we had the pomegranate, and the palm tree was one of those that we used.
God.
Now the bull was on the watch, where we had the bulls in each direction, watching at the fountain. I don't want you to think it was the bull that was that they worshipped, the golden calf. I'm not talking about that one. Okay, let's look at Psalms 92:12.
The righteous shall flourish like the palm trees. He shall grow like a cedar in Lebanon.
Okay, so the palm tree, just demonstrating that this was one of our symbols that we use for prosperity and plenty and righteousness, as you can see. Let's go to Jeremiah 10:5.
They are upright as the palm tree, but speak not. They must needs be born, because they cannot go. Be not afraid of them, for they cannot do evil, neither also it is in them to do good.
So here is a symbol of uprightness in the palm tree and contrasting with the evil. Let's go to Revelation and see again, lastly, the palm tree.
After this I beheld, and lo, a great multitude which no man could number, of all nations and kindreds and people and tongues, stood before the throne and before the Lamb, clothed with white robes and palms in their hands.
So here is a symbol in the last days of us holding palms in our hand for everlasting. So we see what this symbolism is. And this Hosanna, let's take a look at when they were crying Hosanna. We're going to take a look at another Psalms 18, and this is 26 through 29. See what Hosanna, when they were saying, blessed be he that come in the name of the Lord. And this is where this is coming from.
Blessed be he that cometh in the name of the Lord. We have blessed you out of the house of the Lord. The Most High is the Lord, which hath shown us light. Bind the sacrifice with cords, even unto the horns of the altar. Thou art my power. I will praise thee. Thou art my power. I will exalt thee. Oh, give thanks unto the Lord, for he is good, for his mercy endureth forever.
Amen. And that's where we get this blessed is the king. So they knew that they were holding him up as the Messiah, the King of Israel that cometh in the name of the Most High. Are we seeing that?
God.
Okay, let's go on to 14.
And Yahushua, when he had found a young ass, sat thereon, as it is written,
Go
Fear
ahead.
not, daughter of Zion. Behold, thy king cometh, sitting on an ass coat.
Okay, this was a prophecy. It was in Zechariah 9:9, and we'll take a quick look at that.
Rejoice greatly, O daughter of Zion. Shout, O daughter of Jerusalem. Behold, thy king cometh unto thee. He is just and having salvation, lowly, and riding upon an ass, and upon a coat, the fowl of an ass.
So here we go. That was the prophecy being fulfilled. And they had the coat in the fold of a coat. We talked about that when we went through it in the previous gospel. Go on to 16. Let me see if there are any questions so far.
No, brother, but if you could go ahead and take over, and I'll be right back.
Okay.
All right.
I can read for you, priest.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, brother. Shalom, brother. Thank you.
So, yeah, before we continue, just wanted to bring out something. You referenced what day this was when he rode into Jerusalem, and it's not coincidence that this was actually on the 10th day of the month. And
right.
you just
because that's when they would choose and identify who they would choose that sacrificial lamb.
I don't know if you have that up,
right,
priest, but that's Exodus 12:3.
Okay, go ahead and hit that. Exodus 12:3. You want to bring it up?
Yeah.
Hit that. Exodus 12:3. And I'll be hitting Exodus 12:2. Okay.
So Exodus 12:3, speak ye unto all the congregation of Israel, saying, in the 10th day of this month you shall take to them every man a lamb, according to the house of their fathers, a lamb for a house. And if the house be too little for the lamb, let him and his neighbor next unto his house take it according to the number of the souls. Every man according to his eating shall make your account for the lamb. Your lamb shall be without blemish, a male of the first year. You shall take it up from the sheep or from the goats. So Hamashiach came in, remember, he's the fulfilling all of this. In the book of John, it begins when he recognizes the Messiah, he said, behold the Lamb of the Most High. So this is all allegoric to him representing and being that true sacrifice. So if we go back to where we're at in John, which I think is a verse we just read, or we'll be reading. Did we read 16? I think
we read the
read 15.
15, yeah.
So tying that in, everything that all the prophecies that were just pointed out in Psalms and Zechariah and here in the Torah of Exodus, this is these things understood not as disciples at the first, but when Yahushua was glorified, then remember that these things were written of him and that they had done these things unto him.
Con. And that was John looking back, because they say that this book was written after the fulfilling of those things. So they were able to, he's speaking, as you can see, is written like not at the present, but after the fact. Is saying that when they were able to look back, they remembered, and John was writing from a time after all this had taken place. So he was able to fill in that to get a feel for it.
God.
Okay, yeah, exactly. Yeah, we covered that. Thanks for bringing that out, Priest. We had covered that 10th day, and I think we covered that on the other gospel, showing when we was going through fulfilling. But it was something. Thanks for bringing that out. I was going to touch on something. I'm going to go right back to Exodus 12. It's something that and you touched on it as well, but I wanted to show something that we overlook every, especially the camps overlook this part.
God.
So I'll be going back to Exodus, believe that. Okay, so 17.
The people therefore that was with him when he had called Lazarus out of his grave and raised him from the dead bear record.
Okay, so those Galileans that was around and those that was around, that was a strong testimony. As we saw before, they wanted to put Lazarus back to death because that was just a powerful witness, and it was drawing men unto Yahushua. Let's go on to 18.
For this cause the people also met him, for they that heard that he had done this miracle.
Okay.
Verse 19.
Self-explanatory. People follow him because of what he had done. Okay. 19.
Verse 19. The Pharisees therefore said among themselves, perceive ye how ye prevail nothing? Behold, the world is gone after him.
Okay, so now look at the attitudes of the Pharisees. They're trying all of these things to hinder the walk of Christ, to quiet him, to quail him, to put him to death, to put Lazarus, everything around. But because of the works that Yahushua was doing, it availeth them nothing. The people were still following them. Remember, they wanted their cushy positions. They were fighting for a status. And here, they weren't winning. They were saying this will avail, all we're doing will avail of us nothing. But because of the works of Yahushua, men were still coming, listening, and following after him. So they were quite upset with that. Let's go on. Where's that 18?
No, verse 20.
Okay, let me see here. I don't have my glass on. The people followed, okay, because of the miracles. You say 20?
Yeah, that's what's next.
Okay, go ahead with 20.
And there were certain Greeks among them that came up to worship at the feast.
This is what I wanted to stop on, that there were certain Greeks. Now, I know that you have seen this as the Hellenized. Hellen is those that is of Greek. If you go to Strong's G 1672, is Hellen, meaning that they are Greek by nationality, natural native of that main land. So I'm bringing this out because we're seeing something here that certain Greeks among them came up to worship at the feast. Could a Greek worship?
Only if they're circumcised.
There you go. See, if they was uncircumcised, and that's going back to Exodus 12:48, brother, because that was still in
49.
play. Exodus, huh?
Exodus 12, 48, and 49. Con.
Yeah, there we go. So we're going back to there to see, because you rarely hear that brought out, that there was some around seeing these work. There was some that did decide to get they had to be circumcised at that point, but if they were circumcised, that they could come to the Passover and they could be treated like one of Israel and take of the Passover. I even read one excerpt that if they weren't circumcised, that they could come to worship, but they could not take of the Passover. But if they could take of the Passover if they were circumcised. Let's read here, starting from 48.
Exodus 12 and 48. And when a stranger shall sojourn with thee, and will keep the Passover to the Most High, let all his males be circumcised, and then let him come near and keep it. And he shall be as one that is born in the land, for no uncircumcised person shall eat thereof. One law shall be to him that is homeborn, and unto the stranger that sojourneth among you.
Okay, that's what was taking place, since we saw that those Greeks indeed looking at the word was Hellen, not Hellenized. We understand that? Because it becomes important what comes after this. Okay. 21.
The same came therefore to Philip, which was of Bethsaida of Galilee, and desired him, saying, Sir, we would see Yahushua.
Okay, now here those Greeks come, they want to see Yahushua. As they were coming from Bethsaida, we can take a look and see how close that is to, they were coming from, probably going down to the feast. So here is Bethany. Where is Bethsaida? It's Bethany, Bethel. It's not on this map. Okay, I'll look that up. If someone got time, look it up for me so we can see where Bethsaida is. I don't see it on this one. I'll look it up before we go. Let me get back. So they were coming anywhere to Jerusalem from Bethsaida, passing through, and they wanted to see Yahushua. And remember, the crowds was following him. His fame was out there. They wanted to see, these Greeks wanted to see Yahushua. So let's see how the disciples handled that.
I got an image if you want me to pull it up.
You got that map?
Yeah, it's not a great one, but at least shows you where near the Sea of Galilee it is.
Yeah.
Let me, if I could share.
Yeah, you can go ahead. You want me to give it to you?
I think just grant me sharing. You just have to allow someone else to share in the settings. Share. If you click on the share thing,
Okay, let me go in here. New share. Wait a minute. Okay, there we go.
all right. So this is, can you all see it?
No, don't see it yet.
No?
Uh-uh.
No. Clicked on it. Hold on. You see it now?
Uh-uh.
No?
I clicked on multiple participants can share simultaneously.
Okay, so then you should, did you stop sharing?
Oh, no, I just clicked on,
Okay, so
Share.
if you stop share,
okay, stop share.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, there we go.
then I can share.
All right, go ahead.
You see that now?
Yeah, there we go.
All right. So you can see where the little red balloon is. That's where it is in reference to the Sea of Galilee.
Okay, so yeah, they were coming down then.
Gone.
They were coming down, just as we thought. Okay, so they're right here with the Sea of Galilee. So they would have heard plenty of Yahushua being from Galilee in this region. They heard a lot about him. So here they inquiring about him, wanting to see him. Con?
Gone.
Okay, let me go back to share. Okay, are you seeing that again?
Gone.
Okay. Okay. Okay, and what verse were we at? 20? Okay. And there were certain Greeks among them that came up to worship at the feast. Okay. 21. And the same came before Philip, which was of Bethsaida, okay, of Galilee.
I got
Okay,
you.
go ahead, 21.
The same came therefore to Philip, which was of Bethsaida of Galilee, and desired him, saying, Sir, we would see Yahushua.
Okay, and go to 22.
Philip cometh and telleth Andrew. And again, Andrew and Philip tell Yahushua.
Okay, now they came from Bethsaida, and here we have Philip from Bethsaida, in them inquiring of Christ and where he came from. It would appear that they wanted to come to someone that they probably knew him or was familiar with, that he was from that region. So they came to him, designed to see him, and then he went on to Philip to say that these guys want. What do you think the problem is here? What is the problem here? So Philip tells Andrew, and then they go to Yahushua and tell that these Gentiles desire to see him. And let's see how Christ handles that. So,
And Yahushua answered them, saying, The hour is come that the Son of Man should be glorified.
okay, the hour is coming. He's speaking of his death and his resurrection. Yahushua again saying the hour is come that the Son of Man should be glorified. So he said the time is short. Now remember, we got on hold, these Gentiles want to see him, okay? And he's talking to his disciples, and he said that the time has come. Ain't no time for playing. It's time for the Son of Man, speaking of his death and to be glorified. Go ahead to 24.
Verily, verily, I say unto you, except the corn of wheat fall into the ground and die, it abideth alone. But if it die, it bringeth forth much fruit.
So here, if a corn dies, it has many kernels on it. So if it dies and fall to the ground, those kernels are seeds, and they can fall into the ground. They contain an embryo, and they can bear a baby plant, and many plants can come up. So Christ is likening his time is near, and he's saying he must go that he may bear others like him, that it will bring forth many fruit. So don't have time to be playing here. The time is short. I must go, and I must be lifted up that I can draw all men unto me. Are we getting a little understanding of this parable? So this kernel, when you look at a piece of corn, it has many, many kernels on it, right? Many rows. And if that falls to the ground, takes seed, then it can grow and bring forth a big crop. Are we seeing that? Let's go ahead. We're going to let scripture speak. Go ahead. 25.
He that loveth his life shall lose it, and he that hateth his life in this world shall keep it unto life eternal.
Okay, so if you're in this life and you love your life, you're serving yourself. You're just serving yourself. You love this life, you're preserving yourself, you're saving yourself, and you're living just for your own selfish needs, then it says you're going to lose that. Looking at this spiritually and eternally. But he said, if you hate this life, that is, you're not here to serve this life and what Satan has, and you are serving the Most High, you're serving Christ, then you will have life. You're laying your life down. So much symbolic of a death. We are to lay our life down. We are to put our purposes aside so we can do the will just like he did. He said, not my will, but my Father's will. And we have to lay aside our desires, our wants. I heard someone the other day said when they started this walk that they never would imagine that they're doing things the way that they're doing things because it's not their will. They would have lived life totally different. And this person has some talent singing, say, I would be singing for the world. I had it all planned out, and none of that. I now preach the gospel, So there's a path that you may think that would better you if you were to take it. But us in this life, we lay down our life so we can live unto the Most High. Look at Moses. He could have been Pharaoh, and he's out there in the wilderness, but in the long run, he was doing the will of the Father. The similitude is like we lay our life down so we may live for him, so we can put him first and live for him, that we may be in the end, we're going to gain. Let's go to the next verse and let's see. He's going to bring this out.
Verse 26. If any man serve me, let him follow me. And where I am, there shall also my servant be. If any man serve me, he will my Father honor.
Okay, here we go. The serving part, that you serve the Most High, that you're serving Christ, you're not living your will, and then the Father honors that. So 27.
Now is my soul troubled, and what shall I say? Father, save me from this hour, but for this cause came I unto this hour.
Okay, I missed something here. I missed something. I had those Gentiles on hold. 26 start slow. He said, if any man, at this point, he said, if any man serve me, let him follow. Remember those Gentiles coming to see him. This is what you won't hear. Now Christ is saying that time is short. You remember when he said he came for the lost sheep of the house of Israel. But here he's saying, if any man serve me, because these Gentiles came to get him, so he had to make an understanding, let him follow me, and where I am, there shall also my servant be, if any man serve me. Him will my Father honor. You see, we're missing a whole lot. Just like I skipped over it, we're skipping again. Remember who was there? Helen was there, and they wanted to see him. And their thing is, what is here for us? What is here now for us? They're going to the Passover. So we would presume that they are circumcised. So now they're coming, hearing, being from Bethsaida, hearing about all the miracles. No way they did not hear about all the miracles in Galilee, all that was done there. So now Yahushua is saying, if any man serve me. In the present, they brought them to Yahushua. If any man serve me, let him follow me. And where I am, there shall also my servants be. If any man serve me, him will my Father honor. Did you catch that? So easy to miss. And that's why I went through that these were Gentiles, came to them inquiring about him. And he said he must fall to the ground. He was there. Now he's saying any man. Did you catch that? This is at the end. Anybody else seeing that, or I'm the only one?
No, my brother, you're not the only one. Can I bring out a precept on that?
Go ahead, brother.
Can we go to Matthew 12? We'll start in verse 46.
While he yet talked to the people, behold, his mother and his brother stood without, design to speak with him. Then one said unto him, behold, thy mother and thy brother stand without, design to speak with thee. But he answered and said unto him that told him, who is my mother and who is my brother? And he stretched forth his hand towards his disciples and said, behold, my mother and my brother. For whosoever shall do the will of my Father which is in heaven, the same is my brother and my sister and my mother.
You replace this word whosoever with any, for anyone shall do the will of my Father. What is the will of my Father? To abide in him, to follow his word, which is the Messiah.
Come.
So that is the distinction of who is his and who isn't, is those who hear his voice, those who follow him. Con?
Y'all catch that?
Con.
Can't mention that. Camp ain't gonna tell that one.
And then here's another one we actually covered earlier in this chapter. If we go to, this book, if we go to John 7.
John 7.
16 and 17. Or
Yahushua answered them and said, my doctrine is not mine, but his that sent me. if any man would do his will, he shall know of the doctrine, whether it be of the Most High or whether I speak of myself. Come on. Powerful. Everybody seeing that?
Khan,
Okay.
any man.
Yeah, any man. And
No
that,
man, Adam is mankind.
right. And that comes from Yahweh Shai. And we have to do that. Probably after this, we can put together something, because when Constantine came together, I understand we got to be vigilant. I understand that the Gentile brought a lot of things in that shouldn't be in there. One thing, these holidays and them trying to be ecumenical and trying to be universal. We got to talk about those things where the difference is, because there are some things that they should not have touched, you know, and then they brought in things that wasn't us. And then they tried to say they're us. So we need to talk about those things too, because I don't want anyone to get the notion that, you know, that it is in that we don't see what's going on, that Israel don't know what's going on, and where the sleight of hand is going on that side in Christianity, what different things that they have brought in. With Constantine, they brought a lot of heathenistic things and they started bringing them into the church. And this is the thing, when some of these holidays that they had brought in, and it was accepted through them when they took over our doctrine. And then it was other things that they went and painted the faces there of, where they made themselves then the heads and the of everything. So we need to talk about those things too. But as of now, you got clear heart, clear conscience, and you sincerely seeking the Most High, any man. And I don't believe those ones that coming in just like us, those of us that didn't have the right heart, not gonna make it. Just like them going out trying to be deceivers and clever at and trying to manipulate the word. They're not gonna get in, because they can't outbox the Most High, you know. And you got those that made those little jerks and twists that it's going to come to naught, just like with the Pharisees. Those things came to naught, you know, because the Most High will be done. And we need to talk about some of those things too. Khan?
Khan.
I don't want y'all to think that Brother Terry, man, he hard on Israel. I love my people. You got to be truthful.
And he who loves, he who chastens, right?
Yeah.
It's all about the truth at the end of the day.
Yeah, it's about the truth. We got the first one for truthful. Okay, where did we leave off?
We're on verse 27.
27. Okay.
Now is my soul troubled. And what shall I say? Father, save me from this hour. But for this cause came I unto this hour.
Okay. So we know that was going to happen, because Yahweh Shai said, not my will, thy will be done. He had submitted to the will of the Father. But this was a hard hour. And he said, what should I say? Not what should he do or do against his will. So you can see a lot of people speculate on, you know, what was the difficulty, knowing that he had to come, but that separation from the Father. I don't want to speculate on it. What was difficult when he was in the Garden of Gethsemane praying, and those grapes blood like dripping down the side of his face, knowing what he had to do. He had that human side, and then he had the divine side. And we can only speculate what, not the physical part, what that meant at that point when he took on the sins of the world and in relationship with the Father. What And if the father looked away, what that meant at that point to him, to the father and to him. We can only speculate, but I know the pressure was definitely on Yahushua. If the father winked and looked away for a second, it may have been the only time ever that such a occurrence like that had ever happened with him, and it grieved him to experience that moment. So, but he knew what the result would be and that he had to do. But one day maybe we'll understand it all, what happened and why it was so difficult and what it actually meant. But to take on, who can expound on taking on the sins of all of the world, past, present, and future, everybody that's to come after we're gone. He's still, what that sacrifice actually meant and how great it was. Con. Okay,
Con.
let's go to 28.
Yeah, sorry, priest. On mute. Father, glorify thy name. Then shall there a voice from heaven saying, then came there a voice from heaven saying, I have both glorified it and will glorify it again.
Okay, here's a miracle. The Father had spoken from heaven. Can you imagine that? And there's a multitude of people around there, witnesses. This was definitely a miracle. So he said that there was a voice from heaven saying, I have both glorified it. So at what point do we know where this glory, where he glorified it and will glorify it again? He said, I both glorified it. Huh?
What is death?
Well, it was all the miracles that he was doing. Remember, his works was wrought in the Most High. So he came and to manifest the works and the glory that he was. So this other men wasn't doing. So he was glorifying his name, and Yahushua's name was becoming great through the works of the Most High that he was doing, raising the dead, all of these things. So he had both said, I've glorified your name and would do it again. And at the point of resurrection, he's going to glorify his name again when people walk up out of the graves.
God.
And he come up on high. So he said, I've glorified it. He glorified it in the earth, and he's going to glorify it in the heavens. That he's going to glorify, that Yahushua's name is going to be great. Can you imagine some man out here walking around talking about not to mention Yahushua? And here's the Father saying, I've glorified it, and I will glorify it again. Yahushua, he's just another Savior, ain't nobody. I don't hear the Father saying this about nobody else. He said he has glorified his name, and he would do it again. Con?
Con.
So here we have it done again in its resurrection. He would do it again. The dead would get up out of the graves. And they will open. Let's go on, see what else is here.
Verse 29. The people therefore that stood by and heard it said that it thundered. Others said an angel spake to him.
This is, I guess you could go in kind of deep on that. Remember the thundering and the lightning, that when people heard the voice of the Most High back up on the mountain back with Moses and stuff, they feared. They didn't want to hear it anymore. They said, you speak to us. The thunder, the lightning. Now, some liken it unto thunder. I don't know if it was inarticulate, but it may have been overwhelming. Others said it was the voice of an angel, but definitely they didn't say it was the voice of a man. There was something magnificent about the Most High speaking audibly. And they had to say it was at least the voice of an angel, but the voice that came forth was mighty. And having a picture of when he spoke back there on the mountain, I know men quaked and they didn't want it anymore. So here he was speaking from heaven again, which is a miracle. And they said they heard it. Some said it was thunder. Others said an angel spake to him. But something miraculous take place. Let's go to 30.
Yahushua answered and said, this voice came not because of me, but for your sakes.
So this didn't come. This voice came to testify of him for their sake. Christ knew who he was. He knew where he stood, but those that were listening, the voice came for their sake, to strengthen them, that those that would believe. Imagine if you heard a voice coming from heaven, and if you were standing there and you was holding on, wondering, you were one of those sheep, wondering, what are you going to do if the Messiah disappeared?
Bless you.
Okay, next verse.
Verse 31. Now is the judgment of this world. Now shall the prince of this world be cast out.
Okay. What is this? The judgment of this world. I mean, the rightful ruler would be taking place. Adam, back when Adam was to have dominion, and Adam dropped the ball. Whereas we see that sin ruled from Adam until death ruled from Adam until Moses, during that whole period of time until the new covenant would be put in place. So now judgment, because Yahushua come into the world, judgment of this world, that the rightful ruler would take place. Let's take a look at Revelation 1:18. See, Revelation 1:18. There's no Revelation. Sorry, I'll get it. Let's take a look at Revelation 1:18.
You can just go there. Revelation 1,
In 18.
verse 18. I am he that liveth and was dead. And behold, I am alive forevermore. Amen. And have the keys of hell and of death.
So now that judgment has come, you saw that Christ, during his time, he was gone 3 days in the belly of the earth, and he said he has took the keys to death and that of hell. So someone else had, Satan had those keys, and even those that were of faith, where he took captivity captive, that they couldn't, he thought that he had those, but Christ came to gain rule as the rightful ruler of this minion of this world. Adam was given rulership, but lost it when he fell. Let's take a look at Romans 5:14. I hope I have that here. Romans 5:14. I know what happened. Sometime I be moving this cursor and it'll rid stuff, get rid of stuff. I'll just go there. Romans 5:14. That's what must have happened with my lesson. Okay. 5:14.
Verse 14, nevertheless, death reigned from Adam to Moses, even over them that had not sinned after the similitude of Adam's transgression, who is the figure of him that was to come.
Okay. Adam was the figure of him which to come. So there the reign is rulership or kingdom over that. Death was because Adam had fallen, he was supposed to live forever. It was never intended for man to die or to suffer death. But Adam represents, you hear some call they call Adam the first Christ, or they call Christ the second Adam, because Adam wasn't supposed to fall. So death entered in. It said where sin is, then death entered in by way of sin. Because he was told if he sinned, he should surely die. So death came in at Adam, and then this death continued through Moses, and they couldn't get to this eternal life under that covenant. This was the covenant of Moses. So you needed, that's why Christ came and said, I am the life, I am the resurrection. And through that new covenant, then you could have life. And those that died in faith, that was in the bosom of Abraham, they were taken up on high, because they could see afar off Christ, and they still was in faith. And so here is this life that is given. So now who has the keys to death and to hell? Let's take a look at Genesis 3:15. Genesis 3:15. I hope I got that one. Yeah.
And I will put enmity between thee and the woman, and between thy seed and her seed. It shall bruise thy head, and thou shalt bruise his heel.
So this was the prophecy, the enmity between those that that Satan has. You heard Christ tell, you are of your devil, you are of your father, the devil, of Satan, those that have been born of that wicked seed. And then you have those that of the seed of Christ, that are of life. And so there's enmity. They're going to attack you. Those that's not in the Messiah are going to always attack. There's enmity. But Christ, the prophecy was he was going to bruise the head of the serpent with his heel and actually take those keys of death and hell. Rulership or reignership, what Satan is doing now, he's usurping authority until Christ comes. But at that point, Christ had actually taken the authority away from him. And that's why we can go to him and pray these things up off of us, because he has no real authority at this time. Christ is just not, it's just like you say, president-elect. We know when Obama was elected president, he didn't have his ordination at that time and come to take and show all of his power and his authority. He was sitting back there while Donald Trump was there, and we could sit back and say, well, he's the next president, we can know, but his power wasn't enacted at that time. Like, so when Christ come back, he came as the lamb, and he didn't enact his, he submitted all things unto the Father. But when he come back, he's going to be the lion. He's going to have all power and authority in his hand, and he's going to demonstrate that. And that's why people are going to be running. People are going to be afraid because it's not going to be this humble person they're looking to come back, but he's going to come back with authority and power and fierce. So this is what's going on here. So let's take a look at, so he had took the keys to death and hell. Let's take a look at Revelations 20 and 10.
And the devil that deceived them was cast into the lake of fire and brimstone, where the beast and the false prophet are, and shall be tormented day and night forever and ever.
This is the ultimate end of Satan. He knows that his time is short. And ultimately, Christ is going to have him cast into the lake of fire, which burned, and that's his ultimate end. So the time is short, and he is usurping some authority until Christ come and put his rule down. So even now, we're going to have the 1,000-year reign, and then even after that, he's going to be loose for a season. Then he's going to be put away. So let's go back to, anybody got anything to add to that? No, this is cluttered. So this is now the judgment of this world, what's pertaining to this world. Now the authority, all that is shaken. Not that you're judged at this point, but the judgment is given that the powers to be, the reign, it was going to be handed over to Christ. And it says, now shall the prince of this world be cast out. So he doesn't have real authority at this point. It is now all Christ, and what he's doing is usurping authority at this time, because Christ didn't lay it all down at this time yet, but it will happen. He took it from him. He bruised his head. He got the keys to death and hell. That's why he's like a roaring lion. Okay, 33.
Or 32.
32.
And I, if I be lifted up from the earth, will draw all unto me.
So if he be lifted up, this was on the cross and die from the earth, just like that kernel, he would draw all men unto him. That is Jew and Gentile. Are we getting that? He would draw all men unto him. And this is going back to those Greeks that was there, that are present. Yet I'll draw all men if I be lifted up from the earth. In other words, if he died on that cross, he's going to bear many. Next verse.
This he said, signifying what death he should die. The people answered him, we have heard out of the law that Hamashiach abideth forever. And how sayest thou, the Son of Man must be lifted up? Who is this Son of Man?
Okay, so here is in 33, he's saying, signifying his death, which he should die on the cross. But it said the people answered, and we have heard out of the law that this Christ abideth forever, which they have heard. Now sayest thou, the Son of Man must be lifted up, meaning die. Who is this Son of Man? Let's see how Yahushua answered that. 35.
Then Yahushua said unto them, yet a little while is the light with you. Walk while ye have the light, lest darkness come upon you. For he that walketh in darkness knoweth not whither he goeth.
Okay. Did Christ answer their question?
Yes.
Okay.
Indirectly, but yes.
Okay.
Continue. Right.
Okay. And it says, yet a little while you have the light. We know that he is the light and the life. So while he's there, while his presence is with them, ye have a little light, is yet a little while is the light with you. This is time that he's walking with them, giving them, they can ask him questions. Walk while ye have the light. Let the darkness come upon you. Christ's presence isn't there. There's more of a forbearance. All the things that he was doing is not to believe. So he's like, use this opportunity that you have while I'm here. You've seen the works. You've seen the works of my Father. He's glorified my name, to seize that opportunity while you have a chance, because the time is coming that he's not going to be here unless darkness come upon you and you have not seized that light and walk with you, that now you can be caught in the darkness, and we know where that destination is. So he's basically seized the opportunity while this light is here, to take time to receive him while you can before darkness comes. And for each of us, that's like an event. We have but a little while. We have but a little while to decide to receive him as our light, and darkness come upon us. Darkness came upon Jim Brown today. He passed away. And darkness is coming on someone every day, every second of the day around this world. Those are going on. You don't want to go on in darkness. You want to receive that light while you're here, because that time applies for us individually as well as him. He's in, his spirit is in the world. But now we as men, we have but a little time to accept this call and accept this light while we can, and let our light shine. Huh?
God.
Okay. Next.
Verse 36. While ye have light, believe in the light, that you may be the children of light. These things spake Yahushua and departed, and did hide himself from them.
Okay. Now, we had it told us that we are the light of the world, that we received it to so let our light shine. This is so in line with that while ye have light, believe in Christ while he's there, believe while you got this opportunity, as we talked about, and that we become, those of you that have this light, you become children of the light, then you become children of the Most High. And then it said, these things spake Yahushua and departed, and did hide himself from them. Okay. Now, who did? Here is another hiding that Yahushua did. Why did he hide himself?
Because he still had a few more days before it was time to be taken.
Yeah, his time hadn't come, and they were there. Them elders were trying to kill him. So he hid himself again, another miracle from them. Okay, 37.
But though he had done so many miracles before them, yet they believed not on him.
Okay.
That the saying of Isaiah the prophet might be fulfilled, which he spake, Abba Yah, who have believed our report.
Okay. This becomes interesting. Say, but he had done so many miracles, and they believed not. Who believed not? Who believed not? Huh?
Leaders, all the chief priests and rulers
Elders.
and elders and all the non-believers of Israel.
Right. Those that wouldn't believe. So they had the facts right there. They had the proof, and still they wouldn't believe. And we're going to see down here, unless the Father open your eyes and ears, you're not going to believe anyway. So it has to come. It's a gift. So all of those of us that believe on Yahushua, we can be thankful that he so chose us to open our eyes and open our ears, and we can be nothing but grateful. You know, we can't even boast. Like the scripture said, where's boasting? We can't even boast in that we believe, because he opened our eyes and our ears and made it a thing where we could have that grace and believe on him. Next verse.
let me finish that out. I'll read that again. That the saying of Isaiah the prophet might be fulfilled, which he spake, Yah, who have believed our report, and to whom have the arm of Yah been revealed.
Right. Who had and catch that? Whom have the arm of the Lord been revealed, of the Most High? Who's the arm of that, of the Most High? Yahushua, and who he revealed to you, as we were saying. So it's who the Most High revealed him unto. 39.
Therefore they could not believe, because that Isaiah said again, he have blinded their eyes and hardened their heart, that they should not see with their eyes, nor understand with their heart, and be converted. And I
Who
should
has done that?
he.
Who is he? The Father.
Sorry.
The Father has blind, because no man come unto the Son unless he's led by the Father. So he could blind that too, because the hardness of their heart, he blinded them where they couldn't even do it without his grace. That they wanted to spit on his Son. They came prideful, boastful, knowing everything. Then, like you said, those that come that see receive not, but those that understand they blind, then he revealed so they can see. So these men already knew it all. They came in, they were elders, and they didn't come humble to the Most High, and so they lost it. 41.
These things said Isaiah, which he saw when he saw his glory and spake of him.
Continue.
Nevertheless, among the chief rulers also many believed on him, but because of the Pharisees, they did not confess him, lest they should be put out of the synagogue.
Here we go again. So we had some rulers that believed. Can you imagine there's some synagogues out there, but they could not confess him. That's why it becomes important, because they were worried about their position. I'm an elder over here in this synagogue, but if I confess Christ, I'm gonna be put out of my position. How hypocritical that is. We see some of that today. So you can't, so that's why we confess him. We confess, we have to openly confess and not be ashamed of him. He said, if you be ashamed of me, I will be ashamed of you before my Father. We have to openly confess. Next verse.
Verse 43. But they love the praise of men more than the praise of the Most High.
Self-explanatory. Next.
Yahushua cried and said, he that believeth on me, believeth not on me, but on him that sent me. And he that seeth me, seeth him that sent me.
Continue.
I am come a light into the world, that whosoever believeth on me should not abide in darkness. And if any man hear my words and believe not, I judge him not. For I come not to judge the world, but to save the world.
Okay. So here we see him showing again the examples of him and the Father being one. That if you believe on him, that you believe it on him that sent him, the Father. If you have him, you have the Father. If you have not him, you have not the Father. So here is that oneness in the relationship that we have to catch on, because some say they know the Father and don't know the Son. And he say, if you don't know the Son, you cannot get to the Father except through the Son. Okay, and then say, I am come a light unto the world. This is the light. And whosoever believe on me should not abide in darkness. And as Priest Aubrey explained, we're not talking about the essence of daylight or darkness as existing in the night. What we're talking about in the heart, if your heart has been illuminated unto the things of the Most High, or you walking in darkness, that Satan is influencing your world, that he is active in your mind and in your heart, and you are doing the things of the world. Huh? 47. We're gonna.
And if any man hear my words and believe not, I judge him not. For I came not to judge the world, but to save the world. He that rejected me and received not my words hath one that judgeth him. The word that I have spoken, the same shall judge him in the last day.
All right. So before, he that rejects Christ, the word that he has spoken, that he came into this world not to condemn you, but that you may have life through him. But those that don't receive him, them same very words that was spoken, they're going to be judged by. They're going to be held accountable because they didn't choose the way of grace. And in that last day, all of that judgment is going to fall on them. 49.
For I have not spoken of myself, but the Father which sent me, he gave me a commandment, which I should say, and what I should speak.
So all that he said, all that he brought, it was from the Father. The Father had gave it to him, and he didn't speak his will. He didn't speak his words, but only that which the Father showed him did he speak unto us, did he say, and that he set up for example for us. Father gave him, he gives us. And we take on him and we give others that we disciple. 50, closing out.
And I know that his commandment is life everlasting. Whatsoever I speak, therefore, even as the Father said unto me, so I speak.
As we said. So what the Father has said to it, and you hold on to these words, you hold on to what he said, faith in him, then that is everlasting life. That Yahweh Shah Mashiach is his word. And he came to represent his words and speak his words and demonstrate his word. And we hold on to those, we grab hold of everlasting life. And that concludes 12. I know I didn't hit everything, but it's meat on the bones. We'll open it for questions and adaptations.
Bless and priest.
Con.
I wanted to kind of tie this in the end of what Messiah said, beginning in verse 48, where he said, the word that I have spoken, the same should judge him in the last day.
Yeah.
Verse 49, he says, but the Father which sent me, he gave me a commandment. So he's saying that the words, these are the commandments of the Most High. And it's
Right.
the commandments of the Most High that if you break them, shall be the judge of you in the last day. And he said, I know that his commandment is life. And this reminds me of Deuteronomy chapter 30. And if we can turn there and just look at the first, I guess, 1 through 14, because this was prophetic, what the Most High was saying when this, obviously all of us here are familiar with Deuteronomy chapter 28, right? The blessings and the cursings. And in 29, it continues. And in chapter 30, it's prophetic. It's speaking of what's going to come, but it also is a promise that's there that the Messiah is referencing that we all live in, which is this dispensation of grace for the work that the Father has done, that only he could do. So if we could just read 1 through 14, priest, as it ties to this lesson.
It shall come to pass when all these things are come upon thee, the blessings and the curse, which I have set before thee, and thou shalt call them to mind among all the nations whether the Most High thy power have driven thee, and shall return unto the Most High thy power, and shall obey his voice according to all that I command thee this day, thy and thy children with all thy heart and with all thy soul.
Okay, so this is the Shema. This is Deuteronomy, what, 6 and 4, right? Or love the Most High with all thy heart and mind, thy soul, and love thy neighbor. Continue, priest.
That then the Most High thy power will turn thy captivity and have compassion upon thee, and will return and gather thee from all the nations, whether the Lord thy power have scattered thee. If any of thine be driven out unto the uttermost parts of heaven, from thence will the Most High thy power gather thee, and from thence will he fetch thee.
And so we're reading about all these things that the Most High, our Abba, will do. Keep going, verse 5.
And the Most High thy power will bring thee unto a land which thy fathers possessed, and thou shalt possess it, and he will do thee good and multiply thee above thy fathers. And the Most High thy power will circumcise thy heart and the heart of thy seed to love the Most High thy power with all thy heart and with all thy soul, that thou mayest live.
Okay, so this commandment that he gave us to love him with all our heart, our mind, and our soul, he is going to do it. His works is what's going to cause us to do these things. He is going to do the circumcision of our heart, as we've been talking about this work of the Father through the Messiah. Go ahead, priest, verse 7.
And the Most High thy power will put all these curses upon thine enemies and on them that hate thee, which persecuted thee. And
Okay, so
thou shalt
all the work, all the thing that we have experienced as a people, this will be turned on to those who have done those. Because if you lead into captivity, you shall go into captivity. Those who shall persecute shall be persecuted. Continue.
and thou shalt return and obey the voice of the Most High, and do all his commandments which I command thee this day. And the Most High thy power will make thee plenteous in every work of thy hand, in the fruit of thy body, in the fruit of thy cattle, and in the fruit of thy land for good. And for the Most High will again rejoice over thee for good, as he rejoiced over thy fathers.
Okay, so this ties into what Priest Terry read here in John 12 with Hamashiach making the allegory of being the corn or the wheat that is then dies and then produces this fruit. Go ahead, priest.
If thou shalt hearken unto the voice of the Most High thy power, to keep his commandments and his statutes, which are written in this book of the law, and if thou turn unto the Most High thy power with all that heart and with all thy soul.
Okay, now remember, the Most High just said that he is going to do this work, that he is going to write as part of the new covenant, write these within our hearts. Go ahead, priest.
For this commandment which I command thee this day, it is not hidden from thee, neither is it far off. It is not in heaven, that thou shouldest say, who shall go up for us to heaven and bring it unto us, that we may hear it and do it? Neither is it beyond the sea, that thou shouldst say, who shall go over the sea for us to bring it unto us, that we may hear it and do it? But the word is very nigh unto thee, in thy mouth, in thy heart, that thou mayest do it.
Okay, so that's again going back to 12 and what we just read in the Messiah's last words, believing on him and hearing his words, that these words would then dwell within us and they would be in our mouth, the words of life. and in our heart that we shall now do it. And it's not no longer this system as death had reigned, as Priest Terry brought out from Adam to Moses, there was a separation. There was a way in which we were now separated from the Most High through that system. And now he was torn away that veil, and it's now no longer far away. Because why? Because we have inherited the promise as no longer strangers, but as we pointed out earlier, being those who follow him, a servant of him, or a brother or a child of light of the Most High. You seeing that?
God.
That's it, priest.
Anyone else? Okay, if not, then y'all ready for communion?
Give me a minute, priest.
Okay.
You start the recording though.
Yep. Stop recording.